There's a part in SR&R that states that we can search students who leave school grounds and then return. The idea behind that is that students sometimes, when they leave, will go do things or could possibly get something to bring back to school that is either illegal, which is a violation of SR&R, or that's unsafe for other students. There's also a part in SR&R and in the discipline system that gives consequences for leaving school without permission. If your parents were to legitimately call in and say that you could leave and came to pick you up, which demand, then you can leave and then check back in and everything's fine, if that's all legitimate. If it's not, nobody knows where you are. I'm sure there's senior males in the building who feel like they're perfectly safe to leave and come back, but what if they were in an accident? No one would know about it. They'd be missing. Parents wouldn't hear about it. They wouldn't come home from school. How about a young lady leaves campus, something happens to her, no one would know about it. When you come to school, parents think you're in school, and if you're not here, nobody knows where you are, and nobody can find you quickly enough. The county, and actually you can see on the doors, there's still stickers that say electronic devices are not to be in school property. That was the original school board policy when cell phones became pervasive. I remember way back in 2001, a long time ago, when 9/11 happened, some students had their own personal cell phones and were able to contact their parents for the emergency that occurred, which was very helpful. So we know that students are going to have cell phones. We know that parents count on students having cell phones to reach them in case of emergencies. Problem is, they're a big distraction. Me telling you that it's a big distraction shouldn't be any surprise, because I'm sure your parents have been telling you that, and of course your teachers have been telling you that for years. But more so, if you have two earbuds in or the big headphones in the hallway, one of the lockdown drills that we do each year is unannounced. Now, I'll tell the faculty we have a 2-week window when we'll do an unannounced lockdown drill. So they know if it comes up, lock down the building, which is what would be said over the PA. People are just supposed to pull people into the hallways if it's during a passing time to get them to safety. The last time we did that drill, there were people who were wandering around, probably blaring music through their earbuds, and just walked down the hall while everybody was scrambling into classrooms, oblivious to what would happen. That was a little frightening and scary for us. We also have students who disregard a request by a staff member. That's a violation of SR&R. When an adult in the building asks you a question, wants to talk to you, and you walk away, whether because you can't hear them or you're just being rude, in both cases, you can get into trouble. So we'd like to avoid that, okay? That's why we're doing that. Hats and hoodies obscure your face. A few weeks ago, where we had the threats that were made against the school that we solved, and we identified the people and they've been dealt with, scares people. And so when we need to review video or we need to be able to ID people, if you have your hood up or a hat on and we're not able to know who you are, you're perceived as a threat and you can be responded to as a threat. So we're hoping that people don't put themselves in that situation by not having a hood up, by not having a hat on to obscure their face. Tobacco and alcohol, prescription medications are all regulated by law, by the federal government, either by age, who can use them, and or by being prescribed and how they affect your body. These are all things that can be abused. That's nothing new. Everybody knows that. So they're regulated because teenagers, as well as other people, can get caught up in using them in a manner that is detrimental to their health, and while under the influence of such things, is a definite safety risk for the people around them. Vaping is becoming a tobacco-like regulated substance by the federal government, if you haven't been paying attention to the news. There have been, and continue to be, increasing numbers of instances where people are suffering respiratory failure, permanent respiratory ailments, cardiac arrest, brain damage, and even death. So because of those things, we're on you about vaping. Again, another quick story. When I was in high school, we had a smoking area because smoking was allowed at the age of 16. So the schools had a smoking area. That's not the case anymore. You're not allowed to do that here. The smoking areas tend to be bathrooms. That's why we go into the bathrooms all the time, to see if you're up to it. And if we catch you, there's a response to that. Those responses to something like vaping, tobacco use, alcohol use, or illicit drug use, or being under the influence of of or being under possession of, all of those can result in either in-school or out-of-school suspension, and, especially if they're done in school or school-sponsored activity, can result in you being suspended from activities such as sports, clubs, dances, prom, possibly even graduation, if you do it within a 30-day window of time. We stay on you about not doing those things that are detrimental to your health, a violation of the law, or could take things away from you you probably want to be able to enjoy.